Welcome back, everybody, to explore the Megillah. We continue chapter 3, Perek Gimel, Pasuk Beis, that reads as follows, verse 2. V'chol avdei hamelech asher b'shar hamelech. All the servants of the king that were at the gate of the king, koirim u'mishtachavim laHaman, would bow down and prostrate themselves in front of Haman. Hichein tzivolei hamelech, because that is what the king commanded him. Mordechai layichra v'layishtachave. However, Mordechai would not prostrate himself, wouldn't bow down, and wouldn't prostrate himself. This is obviously a central pasuk of the Megillah. This is when Mordechai decides not to bow down to Haman, which angers Haman, which then results in Haman making a decree to annihilate all the Jewish people. One of the problems with this pasuk that the Mefarshim, the commentaries, point out is that it's written in future tense. It says, Mordechai lo yichra v'lo yishtachav. It doesn't say he didn't bow down, he didn't prostrate himself. It's almost like he wouldn't. He's not going to. And the commentaries ask, why is it written that way? It's saying a story here. It should be saying that Mordechai didn't bow down, not that he won't bow down in the future. And I'm going to give a number of answers here, but really all the answers center around one point here, that if it would just say it in Lashon Ovar, in past tense, it would be almost like it just didn't happen. Passive, without emphasis, without noise. Saying it in future tense is saying that this didn't just happen. It was like a decision. It was with emphasis. It was loud. It was what we call dafka. And that's what it means. He's not going to bow down. Not only didn't he's not going to. And you'll understand this more as we go through the answers, but that's the nekuda, that's the point of all these answers. So the Manas HaLevi, Rabbi Shlomo Al-Kabetz explains that he didn't just not bow down. He announced he's not going to bow down. So it could be that Haman would just pass by him and Mordechai didn't bow down, it wouldn't make a big deal about it and Haman wouldn't realize. But he dafka stood up and said, I'm not bowing down. He announced it. The Yaras Devash explains that actually Mordechai got an exemption for this decree. He went through Esther and got an exemption from the king that he shouldn't have to bow down to Haman. However, he made sure that everyone knew that the reason why he's not bowing down is not because he has an exemption. It's because he's a Jew. And therefore, even if he wouldn't have an exemption, he still wouldn't bow down. So he made it very, very clear with great emphasis that he's never going to bow down, no matter what happens. Even if the king would say that he has to bow down, he still wouldn't. The Orach Chaim explains in the sefer called Rishon LeZion that besides the fact that he didn't bow down to him, he would make sure to be there. He would make sure to be there when Haman was around, that he would stand up straight. And even if he was bending down when Haman happened to pass by, he would stand up straight to, again, emphasize that he's not going to bow down. The Maharal explains that it says it in future tense to explain that this happened many times. It wasn't just once. The Maharal also explained that really Mordechai could have gotten out of this, because if you look at the Pasuk says that they had to bow down b'shar hamelech, at the gate of the king. If you're at the gate of the king, you have to bow down. Mordechai could have hid in his room and made sure not to be there when Haman passed by, and he wouldn't get into this whole problem. But he dafka went there. He specifically went to stand at the gate of the king, so he shouldn't have to bow down. The Sfas Emes explains that the reason why it says it in future tense is to say that it wasn't just a practical thing. He never had any doubt about it in his mind, even in his mind. He never even thought of bowing down to him. It was so, we call in Yiddish, abgefrekt. It was totally negated in his mind. It was like a non-issue to Mordechai. It was just impossible for him to actually bow down. This Sfas Emes explains also as well, he adds another idea, that la yichra v'la yishtachave said in future tense, because it's not only about Mordechai. What it's saying is that not only that Mordechai started a trend, that in all future generations, we also won't bow down to a Haman. And that's why Haman wanted to annihilate the entire Jewish people. It's a very strange thing. Just because Mordechai didn't bow down, why should that mean that he should go and kill everyone? And the reason is because Haman realized that's not only Mordechai. It's all the future generations will never bow down to him or what he represents. And therefore he decided he needs to annihilate the entire people. Which the lesson here is very clear, that the message of Purim is not just a story. It's empowering us to be like Mordechai. That we have a lot of Hamans in our lifetime, whether it's spiritual Hamans, whether now we're seeing some physical Hamans as well, who want to annihilate the Jewish people. Mordechai and the nation of Mordechai not only didn't bow down there, but we will never bow down. We will never be ashamed that we're Jewish. We'll never be ashamed of the fact that Israel belongs to the Jewish people, will never be ashamed of Torah values, and will never bow down to Haman, not then and not now. Have a wonderful day.